We are now going to transition into mindfulness in the workplace. I have the privilege of introducing our guest speakers for the afternoon, Danielle Audrey and Amy Doty. Danielle is the Conservation and Youth Education Specialist at the Colorado State Forest Service. She is also a state coordinator for the Colorado Project Learning Tree, also known as PLT, an environmental education program that uses trees and forests as windows of the world. You will recognize Danielle if you attended the Congress in October, as she led some wonderful breathing exercises for us. Amy Doty is the principal and event strategist with Meetings and Such, an event management firm that focuses on the forest, conservation, and sustainability sectors. Danielle and Amy will be focusing on mindfulness in the workplace and opportunities to incorporate breathing techniques for greater wellness and productivity. Ladies, I would like to turn it over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mia, for the introduction, and everyone. It's wonderful being with you again in this warm, welcoming community. And yeah, we're going to explore some mindfulness today, and we're going to actually kick it off with a mindfulness practice. In addition to being the conservation and youth education specialist at the State Forest Service in Colorado, I'm also a 200-hour certified yoga teacher and a student of somatic yoga therapy. So the first practice we're going to do is a simple 2-minute just noticing your breath exercise. I really love this one because I try to incorporate it many times during my day. Amy's going to share about the benefits of mindfulness, and sometimes it can seem intimidating to do a lot of different things at once. And this is just a simple one to get us all started. So, everyone, make yourself as comfortable as possible. And for this, you can close your eyes or just soften your gaze, whatever most comfortable for you. And I just want you to take a moment and notice your breath. Our breath is something we always have with us. It's something we can always tune into. And just notice how your breath is today. Letting go of any judgments or thought about your breath, bringing in some curiosity. You might be able to tune into the temperature of your breath. Does it feel hot? Does it feel cool? Pay attention to where you feel your breath the most. Maybe you feel your lungs expanding and contracting on the inhales and exhales. Maybe you're noticing the air as it moves in and out your nostrils. Just pay attention for you in this moment. Where is your breath being noticed the most? And then tune into the quality of the breath. Is it long or short? Deep or shallow? Short or fast? And just taking note of it. There's no right or wrong way to breathe. Just noticing where you are at in this moment. Then bringing your attention back to the room. You can start to flutter open your eyes if they've been closed. Just bringing back to our space together. And as I mentioned, this is a really great practice. I like to implement it throughout my day, a couple times if I can, but it's just a brief moment to tune into a tool that you have constantly with you, your breath. So I'm going to turn it over to Amy, who's going to share a little bit more information about mindfulness.
Awesome. Thank you, Danielle. I needed that to help slow my breath because I don't speak very often. I'm usually the person in the background and doing all the things. And so I appreciate y'all having me here today to share some of my thoughts around mindfulness in the workplace. I want to start off by saying that, and give y'all a disclaimer, I'm not a trained mindfulness coach. I'm not an expert. But I am, however, someone who's implemented mindfulness into my own life, both personally and professionally. I've seen the benefits come to life in my own journey. And so I want to share some of those ideas for consideration in your own lives and workplace. So let's dive in. So let's start with the basics. What is mindfulness? Mindful.org defines mindfulness as the basic human ability to be fully present, aware of where we are, what we're doing, and not overly reactive or overwhelmed by what's going on around us. Essentially, it's being self-aware in the present moment. Through mindfulness, we can observe our thoughts, our feelings, our physical state, all without judgment and simply just noticing. It also should be said that mindfulness is a skill that really requires practice, dedication, and motivation. Just like any wellness program or eating healthy or exercising, it's a habit worth building and something you have to keep practicing. So research in the neuroscience community really looks at the effectiveness of mindfulness and mindful thinking and how that affects our body, our mind, our soul even. And so studies have shown that mindfulness can, if practiced regularly, reduce our stress and anxiety. It can improve productivity. It can increase creativity and critical thinking skills, and even strengthen our mental focus. More research is needed, just like anything, but we all know the effect stress and anxiety has on our physical and mental health. And so this is just one of those tools that you can use and have in your toolbox to help work through those elements. So I want to share a little bit about my mindfulness journey and why I started down this path, both in my personal and professional life. So in 2009, sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. I experienced a preterm birth with my first child, my son. We were traveling. We were not at home. We were home. We were back home with my family. So about 5 or 6 hours away from my doctors, my house, my comfort. I really leaned on my faith and my church community, leaned on my family that was there. They were really crucial in that time. So fast forward to late 2010, when I learned I was pregnant again. After that shock wore off a little bit, I wanted to ensure that I had a healthy and safe second pregnancy and awakening for baby number 2. So I began yoga practice. I began deep breathing exercises. I began stress reduction practices, along with many medical interventions to make sure that this baby stayed in the oven full term. Thank God she did. So now fast forward to 2023, and now I have a preteen, a teenager, all sorts of mom guilt, family dynamics, anxiety with all of that. Life is fun with us and we have a lot of fun, but it's also hard for them and for parents. And so, Lord help me, anxiety abounds. Professionally, event planning can be stressful, as I'm sure many of y'all's jobs are too. And so for me, luckily, and for y'all, the 4 sector is a great community to work in. But with event planning, there's loads of details and tasks required. There's, staying focused is really imperative. Attention to detail is required. So anxiety for me is always lurking under the surface. And a lot of times that causes stress and anxiety induced insomnia. So I will wake up in the middle of the night thinking about something that I have to do. and can't go back to sleep. So I'll be up for a couple hours, and some folks have experienced me sending them an email at 2 a.m. And so apologies for that. So I'm really working on not doing that. Competing priorities can take me off track, both personally and professionally. And then there's this pandemic that we went through. One for me, starting a new business and keeping my elementary age kids on track with school really was a hard road. And so I even experienced some physiological impacts of stress on my body. Like the biggest one that I never knew that stress could do is that my hair started falling out, like gobs of hair. And I never really realized that's what, and after talking to my doctors, that's what was happening. So I really brought in mindfulness to bring some relief to that. So here are some of the things I do. I implement daily prayer meditation. So I sit for 10, 15 minutes every morning in prayer meditation, just praying through the Bible. My faith comforts me, it strengthens me, and it just really helps me to prepare for the day. It's also a great way for me to close out my day. So I really encourage you to find some sort of, daily meditation practice, whatever works for you and whatever makes sense to you that might work, and give it a try. Daily walks and walking with my dogs without my phone really provide me that time to disconnect from technology, stressors at home and at work. Deep breathing exercises like we just went through. Like Danielle said, like we're always breathing. It's, we do it all the time. And so, but breath does so much more for us than just give us life and oxygenate our lungs and our blood. It gives us, sorry, someone was just knocking on my window. Apologies. Just took me off track. So, when I find myself in a stressful moment, oftentimes my shoulders are tensed up and in my ears, my face is really tight. I start, short, shallow breathing. And so here's some breath exercises I like to put into practice. So there's the 3-part breath, which is really a controlling breath. It allows me to really focus on how I'm breathing and slow down and be intentional. The ocean breath really gives me greater mental focus. And so when I really focus on that ocean sound in my breathing. Lion breath is another one. It provides stress and anxiety relief and even anger relief. So if you've never practiced it, I encourage you to Google it, give it a try. You look a little silly, but holy cow, it works. Like, it's amazing. Then there's alternate nostril breathing. When I experience insomnia, I utilize it to calm my mind, my overactive brain, and bring me back to a calmer state. Daily task management and automation is critical. It helps me in so many different ways. And then finally, brain breaks. Yesterday even, I just sat for 10 minutes and did nothing, watching a tree crew chip trees that they had cut out of someone's backyard. I just watched as the chips flew into the back of the truck, did absolutely nothing for 10 minutes, came back to my work and really was able to finish that task with greater clarity and mental acuity. What works for me may not work for you, it may not be right for you, but I encourage you to check, find things that might work and give it a try. And so here are some tips and ways to incorporate this into your workplace. Lead by example. If you're in a leadership position, you lead a team, lead a project, even if you're led and you're part of the team, lead by example. Encourage participation by prioritizing your own mental, physical, emotional health alongside productivity. Support employee engagement and participation. Know your audience. Consider those individuals who will be participating and implement practices to engage them and reduce resistance. Provide some training and even resources that compel the team to participate, and try different activities to find what works and what doesn't. Build this into your workplace routines. Encourage employees to start their workday with short mindfulness practice, reviewing their daily tasks just to make sure that helps keep them on focus throughout the day. Incorporate it into team meetings and staff retreats. Just look for fun practices that boost productivity, creativity, and critical thinking. And just set daily intentions to do those and set aside time for brain breaks. And then I encourage you to be patient. Don't force it. it requires, consistent practice. Offer lots of different opportunities to practice mindfulness, and also know that some of the individuals in your team and your workplace may not find comfort in it, and that's fine too. So I just encourage you to give it a try. And with that, I want to leave y'all with this lovely quote that your journey is not the same as mine, and my journey is not yours. But if you meet me on a certain path, may we encourage each other. If you do go down this path of mindful journey, I just encourage you to have fun and enjoy it, and I guarantee you won't regret it. So with that, if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to me via the chat or email me, connect with me on LinkedIn. But now I'll just turn it over to Danielle.
Okay, thanks, Amy, and thanks for sharing your story. It was really great to connect and hear how you use mindfulness and use it to connect and help with stress and anxiety in your own life. I'm currently expecting my first child in October, and some of these practices I have to use on a daily thing as well, just to keep that centering and keep helping with stress. So we're going to do one more breathing exercise together to wrap up our mindfulness focus for this event. And it's called the heart womb breath. For those of you who don't have a womb space for whatever reason or that doesn't resonate with, you can also think of it as your pelvic bowl or your lower belly. But what I'd like everyone to do is get as comfortable as possible. You can lean back if you have a space to lie down or just find a comfortable seat. And once again, the invitation is there. You can close your eyes, soften your gaze. And I'd like you to place one hand on your heart and one hand on your lower belly. And just take a moment now, as we did in the beginning, tuning into your natural breath. Maybe noticing what it's like to have that hand on the heart and on the belly. And inviting a softness into your hands. Releasing any tension that might be held in your jaw. Letting go through the soles of the feet. I'm going to start a breath where it's in and out of the mouth. And if that's not comfortable, you can breathe in and out of the nose as well. You're going to inhale down into that hand on your belly, connecting with your womb space. And on your exhale, bringing the breath up to the heart. On the inhales, bringing the breath down to the low belly. And exhaling it back up to the heart. And the invitation is to bring this breath in a figure 8 pattern. So when you're inhaling down, you can bring it to the front of the womb. Exhaling up to the back of the heart. Inhaling down to the front of the womb space. And on your exhale, bringing it up to the back of the heart. Keeping that pattern going. And as much as you can, making it a continuous breath. No need for any pause at the top or the bottom. Keeping the breath going in that circular figure 8 pattern. As the breath is moving, you can think when you're breathing down into your womb space, that loving, courageous, vulnerable energy coming down from your heart. And when you're breathing up, taking that creativity and watching it circulate around. Tuning in, breathing down, the lower belly, and breathing back up. at the pace that works best for you. Tuning into that continuous figure 8 pattern, keeping little pause at the top and the bottom. In our last minute, if you'd like, you can keep the breath going in this direction or reversing the figure 8 pattern. Breathing down to the back of the womb space and breathing up to the front of the heart. Tuning into the energy of your breath. It's moving in the continuous figure 8, back and forth. And then when you're ready, letting the concentrated breath go, just returning to your normal, natural breathing, and just noticing if any shifts have happened in your body, in your mind. Just giving your body a few moments to process the effect that that breath had. As we wrap up, I send each of you my gratitude and thankfulness for learning and in connection with each other, and um, yeah, just wishing you well on your mindfulness journey. So I'll turn it back to Mia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Danielle and Amy. I'm over here very relaxed now. Thank you for sharing your expertise and journeys in mindfulness and breath work techniques. These techniques will help us as we create safe, inviting, and welcoming workspaces.